Our next lesson in language is called Makeup of Language. But let's review a little bit first. The study of cities, artifacts, and customs of the ancient world. Archaeology. A person who studies the history and structure of language. Is a linguist. Communication that does not use words. Nonverbal. The branch of linguistics dealing with pronunciation. Phonetics. A phrase or expression whose meaning cannot be understood in the ordinary sense. An idiom. Having to do with language or the study of languages. Linguistics. The branch of linguistics dealing with word order. Syntax. The branch of linguistics dealing with pronunciation. Phonetics. The branch of linguistics dealing with meaning. Semantics. A recurring statement in Genesis chapter 1 related to language begins with 3 words. What are they? And God said. True or false? To a certain extent, man helped create language. True. Why are the sounds of animals not properly called language? Okay, because animals cannot acquire any of the 4 characteristics of language. Reading, writing, speaking, listening. They don't have the mental ability to do that. The study of word forms and how they are affected by their origins. Morphology. The study of the origin, development, races, customs, and beliefs of man. Anthropology. The only one of its kind. Unique. To leave one's own country to live in another. To emigrate. The languages of people or nationalities. Tongue. True or false? Everyone agrees on the source of language. False. Alright, if you had any problems with that, I want you to stop the tape, go back and do it again until you know it before you do today's lesson. Today's lesson is called Makeup of Language. When you open it, it has a different title. It's called Language and Culture. Our goals for this lesson are to identify the 4 components of language and the 2 elements of grammar, and recognize the connection between language and culture. Let's look at our vocabulary words. The study of the origin, development, races, customs, and beliefs of man is anthropology. To leave one's own country to live in another is emigrate. The study of word forms and how they are affected by their origins is morphology. The only one of its kind is unique. Okay, so go ahead and get your notes. Go ahead and skip a space. Remember, don't go to a new page unless you're out of room. Go ahead and write today's date. Do not write the word date in your notes. Okay? This is called language and culture. I'm sure you all have realized this by now, but everybody does not speak the same language. The biblical story of the Tower of Babel tells us of God confusing the languages. Since then, languages have changed even more as they move around the world and adapt to new places, things, and ideas. All languages possess at least 4 common characteristics. Okay? So language has 4 common characteristics. Okay, number 1. They all have a pattern of sounds. This pattern is a series of sounds that only the human speech organs can utter. Okay, they have a collection of words. Words stand for objects, actions, or ideas. Man is the only created being that has words. They have a system of word arrangement. So they have word arrangement. A connected pattern of words used to express thoughts is present in all languages. The different arrangements of words is one tongue or another are sometimes called the thought pattern of that language. And they all have the elements of grammar. These elements include syntax or meaningful order, morphology or variations of words to show how they serve in a sentence. Example, he gave the ball to me. I gave the ball to him. The change in form gives meaning to the pronouns he and him and I and me. We know this. We don't think about it. We just take them for granted. But you have to have, we said that language has 4 common characteristics: a pattern of sounds, a collection of words, word arrangement, and elements of grammar. And if you think about it, if we didn't have sounds, how could we talk? Even if we had sounds, if we didn't have words, how could we talk? Or if the words didn't have to be arranged in a certain order. Okay? So let's talk about a second language. One might ask this question: why learn a second language if all languages have so much in common? Learning a second language can help in understanding people of other cultures. The language gives us insight into the people, their culture, customs, and idioms. So second language it teaches us their culture, it teaches us their culture, customs, and idioms. Each Each language has its unique thought pattern. Speakers of Navajo, for example, express themselves in relationship to the physical and to the earth. Words related to the physical world are the most important, and therefore are placed first in the structure of a sentence, or they take a more prominent place in expression. Spanish speakers, having a different outlook entirely, place more emphasis upon words for thinking and simply being. A Navajo describes things, a Spaniard talks about ideas. Although man has always had language, and all language has much in common, each branch of each language family is adapted in many ways to the characteristics of its native speakers. For this reason, many missionaries have noticed that their children's personalities have been influenced by the second language they learned as small children. A missionary's child raised in Colombia would wiggle his index finger to say no, and wave goodbye with palm up, fingers moving toward himself. If you accept the gestures of another culture, you have come a long way in understanding its people. All communication, nonverbal included, begins to make sense when the culture is known. So we said when we learn a second language, we learn about their culture, customs, and idioms. All right? Go ahead and take time and read the lesson, study your notes, and go ahead and answer the questions.